Alfred Hitchcock, one of the most respected and famous film directors of all time, talked about the differences between surprise and suspense in storytelling. He put it like this: imagine two people are sitting at a coffee shop and a bomb goes off under the table. Surprise is when the situation plays out just as described. Two people are relaxing and then suddenly the bomb goes off, shocking the audience and having the characters need to react to what just happened. Suspense is when the audience sees someone place a bomb under the table before the two people arrive. To quote Hitchcock, "In the first case, we have given the public 15 seconds of surprise at the moment of the explosion. In the second, we have provided them with 15 minutes of suspense." This is a beautiful way to illustrate the differences between the two. But how does this translate to Dungeons & Dragons or any other tabletop RPG? Well, as a collaborative storytelling medium, knowing the differences between the two and how to apply them will heavily up your game master skills. They both have their place in tabletop RPGs and affect the players at your table in far different ways. To show this, let's alter the previous example to one that would apply to a D&D campaign. Say your players are attending a party at a noble's house. Their objective is to win the favor of a duchess, so she will grant the party access to a blocked off section of the city. Let's say we ran this encounter with the intention of surprising your party. So your players go to the party. When they get there, what would they do? Well, they would probably try and find the Duchess and talk to her. However, she is in a separated or VIP section of the party and won't be accessible for another hour. Maybe your players wait, or maybe they try and get a spot in line to go visit her. Maybe they go and dance, or talk to the other nobles and get a read on what's going on in the world. Maybe they roleplay with each other, or any number of other possibilities. Eventually, your players get a private audience with the Duchess. They plead their case and end up convincing her to grant them access to their desired location. She says all she needs to do is write a letter, stamp it with her seal, and your players are good to go. However, while the Duchess is standing near a window, suddenly an assassin climbs up, slits her throat, and vanishes. And with no reason to be actively making perception checks or detecting magic, your players will be completely surprised. Once she was murdered and the party was surprised with a twist, they now need to react immediately to the situation. What do? Do they start chasing the assassin? If they can even find him. Do they stick around to see if she's able to be saved? Do they just try and find her seal so they can forge a copy of the letter? Or do they alert the guards? And if they do alert the guards, do they believe the players or accuse them of the murder, allowing your assassin to successfully frame them? And now your party has to react to that as well. So that's how the encounter roughly plays out when we choose to surprise our party. Now, let's move on to what would happen if we wanted to make this encounter suspenseful. Well, before your players attend the noble's party, what if they got a tip that the Duchess was going to be assassinated? So if your party wants access to the blocked off part of the city, they need to make sure it doesn't happen. Your players then head to the party and hear the Duchess is upstairs. Knowing there's an assassin targeting her, maybe your party does everything they can to convince the guards, the owner of the house, or whoever to let them get upstairs as quickly as possible. Maybe they scout out the property inside and out to watch for anyone approaching. Maybe they try and coordinate with the guards to beef up security, or a combination of all three and more. Maybe the guards and nobles don't believe the players and now they have to get really clever because if the Duchess dies, they are screwed and it's now a race against the clock. Except they don't know when the timer will run out. So we have the same encounter played out in two entirely different ways based on one piece of information. When we chose to surprise our players, they had time to engage with their environment in a more direct, unbiased fashion, through role-playing with NPCs, each other, or whatever, and then had to react to the situation. When we chose to add suspense to the encounter, our players got to move more proactively, and all their actions were geared towards that objective. And as a result, they did not engage with the noble's party as a fun gathering, but as a potential crime scene. Let's compare this to Hitchcock's example. If you're watching a movie and a bomb explodes randomly, you were probably listening closely to the conversation beforehand, since that's all there was to focus on. You were then baffled at what happened and had to react to this new piece of information. But when you know about a bomb from the beginning, you're kind of listening to the conversation, but your mind is really focused on one main thing. Are they going to notice the bomb and get out safely? The only difference is, unlike someone watching a movie, your players have the chance to do something about the bomb. So what's the main takeaway? Any bit of information you give your players is going to influence their behavior. So in your next encounter, do you want your players to engage more on the scenarios directly in front of them and then react to a sudden shift in the campaign? Or do you want them to primarily focus on a particular part of the story? Once you get a feel of how the delivery of info affects your players, well, you'll be one step closer to being a better game master.